This is Five Nights at Freddy's. This is at Freddy's. And this is at. There is no debate that the series has changed a lot over the years. The fact that we went from this.
Ooh, this is so spooky. I hope no ghosts and ghouls try to come out and get me. That'd be pretty spooky.
What are you doing, stepbro?
To this.
Have you ever heard of Among Us, Gregor?
Is wild to me. However, there are a lot of people, myself included, who think the games have changed and for the worse. So much so that there are two different categories when describing FNAF games. The modern era and the Scott era. Now, I never said the community was good at naming things. In my opinion, they should be called atmospheric horror and any percent. So, there are two different types of FNAF games, but what's the difference between them and why do people care? Well, FNAF 1 through 8 are handled by Scott Cawthon and are made in Click Team, while FNAF 9 and 11 are made by Steel Wool and Unreal Engine 4. Big difference being, one is 2D, one is 3D. This, however, is bad and sparks the beginning of the end. See, FNAF at its core is known for three main things. 1. Being the godfather of all mascot horror. 2. The Sit and Survive gameplay twist which people liked at the time. And 3. Taking place over 5 nights.
This will be important later.
Despite the gameplay being boring sometimes, there was no greater fear than hearing ambient sounds or losing an animatronic on cameras. That is fear that I cannot get recreated anywhere else. So, with all these things being the staple of FNAF, let's look at modern FNAF to see what...
Let's just move on.
See, FNAF being made in Click Team meant there were a lot of limitations. You can't make actual 3D environments, so Scott relied upon pre-rendering images and GIFs, which worked surprisingly well. However, when Steel Wool came in and made it 3D, it brought along a lot of issues. See, when making a 3D horror game, you have to account for that 3D space, the environment, and the characters surrounding it. Do you think Scott gave a flying fuck about what was behind the player? No, because he didn't need to. The player would never see this. But in a 3D game, the player can. So, the developer has to think about that. Now, you might be asking how this is an issue, but if you sit and think about it, you can see why pretty quickly. See, Scott determines what every action, sound effect, and jump scare looks like. For all intents and purposes, if you see one playthrough, you've really seen them all, unless it's some small Easter egg or crazy glitch. What this means is that Scott can narrow his focus down. There really isn't a lot of stuff to worry about, so it's easy to give the game an insane atmosphere. Compare that to Security Breach, and you can see how hard it is to keep up. Especially since this is Steel Wool's first free roam game, and an ambitious one at that. Not only is the Pizzaplex huge, but you also have to worry about every angle. You have to make sure Freddy looks scary from the back and not fucking delectable. God damn. It's something that is hard to do, and 3D horror games to this day often find trouble in making their games truly scary. It can be done, but it's hard. The bigger the environment is, the harder it is. And the Pizzaplex is bigger than the entire tri-state area. There are so many rooms in the Pizzaplex that don't attribute anything. The atmosphere in the game is little to zero. It doesn't feel like I'm in a mall after hours. It just feels like I'm traveling to objectives with random objects and rooms in the way. This is why people don't like the game. It isn't scary at all because of it. There's no moment in the game where tension is built outside of the endo section, which is honestly the only part where I felt genuinely scared. And for that part, they needed to take a concept from Nixon, the creator of the Joy of Creation. I don't know what Steel Wool was thinking, because surely they all know of the Joy of Creation. I mean, for fuck's sake, the creator is literally on payroll to create a remake that will be put on Steam. So why would they think that people would like a reused mechanic from a fan game? Mind you, a mechanic that's been done to death a million times. If I see another mascot horror with a weeping angel mechanic, I'm sacrificing that game instead of a child for a bountiful harvest this year. Oh my fucking god. But I will give credit where credit is due, because in the next game, all of those issues are fixed. Secret of the Mimic, smaller map, more detailed, environmental storytelling, all of it amazing. The game genuinely feels like what Security Breach was supposed to be. At the start of this video, I made a joke about Secret of the Mimic literally just being act. But honestly, it's true. Secret of the Mimic doesn't have Freddy, it doesn't have Five Nights, nor is it a Sit and Survive resource management game. The game series is not supposed to be free roam. It's not supposed to be an open world game. That goes against the entire fucking point! If you want to have a 3D environment, do the same thing the Joy of Creation living room does. Have a small room you can move around in, and that's it. Again, I don't hate the game, but if a friend asked me to show them a FNAF game, this would be the last game I would show to them. The same is said for Security Breach, and that game is... It's fucking Security Breach.
What?
What are you looking at, fuck?
And I know other games in the series, like Sister Location and its free roam-esque story-based gameplay, alongside Ultimate Custom Night, the overstimulating nightmare, also experiment with the franchise, and there's nothing wrong with it inherently. But there's a limit. At the end of the day, if the only way to keep your series going is to do part with everything that made the original special, maybe it's time to leave the franchise on a good note rather than tainting the legacy of the games. I'll still follow the games, and I'm pretty sure everyone who watches this video will too, but I'm not the first to say that this series, while precious to me, should stop. The movies were the only time in recent memory where I felt true fandom energy. God, those were so awesome. The excitement everyone in the theater felt when MatPat came on the screen, or when Dream Theory came up. People's cosplays alone were a reason to attend, and I'm excited for the third one. But god damn, I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm not feeling fatigue about the games. It's baffling to me that every month there's a new fan game that's not only better than the originals, but better than the new games we have now. Yeah, I know that's a hot take, but go play Fnaf 2 Reimagined, a Roblox game. That's right, a fucking Roblox game. Despite what you might think, it's way better from a gameplay standpoint than the original Fnaf 2, and I will die on this hill. Forgotten at Fredbears, the glitched attraction. I go as far as to say Post Shift 2 is better at being a Fnaf game than the new installments. What? Too far? Oh, okay. Besides Post Shift 2, if you go into Game Jolt, filter by the FNAF category, you'll honestly find games that people put years into while being high quality and, more importantly, loyal to the original source material. Mind you, these people cannot charge for the games, meaning outside from a rare donation, they're doing this entirely for free. I genuinely think the series could do better if they hire people who made fan games. I'm not talking about something like the Fanverse Initiative, but imagine if the developers of FNAF 1 Remake, Juniors, and A Bite at Freddy's came together and made an official game. That would be a masterpiece! Sadly, something like this is unlikely to happen. In my eyes, the only thing to save the series from being a poorly made Outlast clone is to do a series reboot. If you want a good series reboot to look at, check out The Unwithered Truth, because their FNAF reboots are so enthralling to look at, and they feel fresh despite retelling a story that's been told millions of times. They will be in the description, so please take a look at it. It's such a fun watch. Honestly, I don't hate modern FNAF. I don't think Steel Wool's incompetent most of the time, and I don't think experimentation is evil, but I do think identity matters, an identity that has been lost to time. Tell me what you think though. I genuinely want to know your thoughts on the series as a whole. Also, if you could subscribe, we're getting really close to 2,000, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, bye.